Hi everyone, welcome to the August sale, and today we're going to be taking a look at If My Heart Had Wings Flight Diary, the fandisk / sequel to the original If My Heart Had Wings visual novel. We're going to be covering what Flight Diary is, what it contains, and whether or not you should buy it. The chances are that you are in one of these two groups of people. The first is the people who just happen to stumble upon this video for the first time, with no knowledge of If My Heart Had Wings. First off, hello, welcome to the channel. If My Heart Had Wings is a really great read, and I highly recommend checking it out. You can also check out my video review I made about it as well. The second group of people is the people wondering whether or not to pick up Flight Diary. Addressing the people who have not read the main game, to summarize, Flight Diary is a worthy sequel that provides extra content and expands more into the side characters. But Flight Diary is not completely necessary to purchase, as the main game ends on strong conclusions as a standalone title. For those of you who have read the main game, I'll go into more detail about what's inside Flight Diary, expand more on the extra routes, and give my personal take on them. And with that, let's begin. Flight Diary is a collection of multiple stories expanding on the original visual novel. It features a prologue story following Amani's route, an epilogue story following Kotori's route, heroine routes for both Kaneko and Hotaru, a small slice-of-life story featuring Asa and Yoru, and a retelling of the main game from Kotori's perspective. There is also a separate paid downloadable route for Akari that is separate from Flight Diary, for some reason. Before I go into detail about the contents of Flight Diary, I will assume that you've already read the original visual novel, as I'll cover some of the established plot elements in the main game. Asa and Yoru's short story takes place after you start dating the both of them in Yoru's route, and takes place after the events of the main story. Not much can be said about the story besides of the slice-of-life moments. That's pretty much it. What can be said is the clearly obvious cutout H scenes for the two twins. Truly a loss. Truly a loss. The Day I Found My Wings is a short little retelling of the main story, but from Kotori's perspective. Nothing much can be said here that hasn't been already discussed in the main story. That's pretty much it. Moving on! Let's begin with Hotaru. Hotaru didn't have much screen time outside of Agaha's route, and she mostly served as a shy little sister character who helped the relationship between Aoi and Agaha. In regards to the timeline, this takes place after the main story's events, with Aoi not choosing any of the main heroines. In her story, we expand on Hotaru's indecisiveness and loneliness, and Aoi's ability to give aggressive head pats. It's a cute little short story for fans of Hotaru and reaffirms the main game's central themes, but overall, pretty basic story beats. In comparison to Hotaru, who fits the little sister archetype, Kaneko fits the older sister type. Kaneko played the comic relief character role, usually walking around in the house in her underwear, lazing around, doing whatever. But she was always very supportive of our main cast and helped emotionally whenever someone was in a rut. Now in the main story, it was very subtle, but there was always that one sliver of a deeper anxiety, and I was hungry for more of that. For a heroine that has nothing to do with the soaring club and gliders, the story becomes a collection of cute, slice-of-life romantic events. If anyone has played a Ubisoft title, Kaneko's story feels like a route in one of those games. But the route is mostly showing off the cute and adorable relationship moments between the two, with the plot occasionally popping its head in. Usually Kaneko acts all bold around Aoi, walking around the house in her underwear and teasing him, but after getting together in a relationship, she gets reduced to a bashful and embarrassed girl, where everyone practically jumps on the two of them, asking about their relationship. Truly, the tables have turned. Luckily, her route does not disappoint. Her route discusses her past and current perspective about intimacy and relationships. No, not that type of intimacy. It's more about growing closer to actually know and befriend an individual. To take that risk to deepen your relationships, even if it means overstepping some boundaries. Kaneko's route is the first positive towards this fandisk, as the stories I've talked about prior are minor in meaningful content. So there's a separate DLC called New Wings, and it's an Akari route. I don't really understand why New Wings was a separate route that you had to pay for, but to get Akari's route is $5. Akari was a very minor character in the main story, and I just can't see the romantic chemistry between Akari and Aoi. So overall, I was pretty apprehensive if this route was actually worth reading. Short version? It was alright. I had no expectations of it, but it was a pretty decent character route. The romance is still kind of between the two of them, personally speaking. Akari is the strict student president that we've known, very lawful and duty-bound, but an individual largely endowed herself. I can't buy the romance between the two of them at all. Between the build-ups and through Akari and Aoi's relationship and the romantic encounters, it just doesn't click for me and it feels very plain, as if we had to establish the most basic plot beats to create a relationship. To be honest, the best parts of her route are the non-romantic bits. Akari, despite being the student council president, has the average man perspective. She, along with many other nameless characters, doesn't fully understand the motivations and passionate desires of the members of the Soaring Club. But what she can do is admire and recognize their efforts to pursue their dreams, and hopefully inspire her to do the same. It's a good route, and for fans of Akari, the couple of you out there, will like her route. The Prologue Story technically takes place after Amane's route, but has flashbacks of before the events of the main story. Here, Itsuka finally meets up with Amane at the end of Amane's route after they haven't seen each other in years. Over the main game, we only hear about Itsuka through other people, and we hear about her eccentric personality. Here, the route focuses a lot more on Itsuka and her perspective on her feelings and actions now that she has to confront Amane and the current members of the Soaring Club, the people she's influenced the most. Despite everyone describing her as this pivotal key figure, Itsuka is still a troubled individual. After all, Itsuka suddenly disappeared and left Amane, her best and closest friend, severely hurt. Basically, Itsuka left to go buy cigarettes and never came back. And after years, she finally came back, so of course things are going to be a bit rocky between Itsuka and Amane. And if this wasn't bad enough for Itsuka's heart, let's dump some romance in the mix to spice things up. Halfway in the story, the route takes some time to introduce some fun romance adventures between Tatsuya and Itsuka along with Aoi and Amane. And it's hilarious because of two reasons. 1. Flustered Tatsuya is an absolute rarity. 2. Amane, this girl, and romance. Oh my god. In conclusion, this route is a joy to read, and once again reaffirms Itsuka's passion and her relationship between Tatsuya and Amane. If there's any reason why you should buy Flight Diary, it would be the Epilogue Story. The Epilogue Story takes place in Kotori's route after the main game's events. Aoi and Kotori are in their last year and are about to go off to university. However, the two of them are having second thoughts about what happens after graduation, as feelings of loss arise from leaving the Soaring Club, leading them to waver in their decisions. It's a very realistic ordeal affecting graduating students as they have to enter in the real world now. There's a sense of lost purpose as all students, not just our cast, has to figure out what to do with their lives now. It's especially even more troublesome for our cast because of the Morning Glory. The long anticipated, momentous, but fleeting dream has been accomplished. So the question they have to ask is, what now? As everyone starts growing apart, as their friends and family are going down their own separate paths, the two protagonists ultimately have to chart their own route in life and follow their own paths. We follow our cast as they are faced with an issue that they cannot ignore now, given that the main core members are graduating, and it's up to them to find the solution to their problem, and by doing so, helping them find themselves in the process yet again. It's a fascinating, compelling, and introspective story about what the future awaits for our cast and what influence they will leave behind in the Soaring Club. Very similar to what Itsuka did for our main cast, showing everyone the full passion of the Soaring Club. So, in conclusion, the question remains, should you buy Flight Diary and New Wings? It's not completely necessary. The main game ends on strong finishers and can be left as a standalone title, but if you're willing to spend the $15, you won't be disappointed in the content that the fandisk provides. Flight Diary's strongest points are the Prologue Story and the Epilogue Story. It provides the same emotional gratification of the routes it is based on, and spending more time with the cast is enjoyable and an absolute pleasure. New Wings, or Akari's route, is more questionable though. It's only $5, but it's not essential to the main story at all. If there's a discounted package sale for If My Heart Had Wings, Flight Diary, and New Wings, then it's worth purchasing the bundle. If you want my thoughts about the main visual novel, I'll leave a link for you down in the descriptions down below. Subscribe if you liked the video and want to see more. Check back every week for new content. For more of my thoughts and the most up-to-date news on videos, you can find me on Twitter @TheAugustHale. Check out some of my other anime visual novel reviews on my channel playlist. Links are in the description down below. That's it for today. I'll see you guys next time.